All right. Hi, guys. Lisa from growkidsminds.com. And I don't know about where you're living, but our weather is going a little crazy. Boiling hot, boiling hot, boiling hot, and now freezing cold again today. So what a great time to do a video then. All right. Today I want to talk a little bit about school life. You know, this is a question I would say maybe don't always get asked it, but I definitely see a lot of talk about it, not necessarily in our group, but in other groups. And I've been asked it privately before by some parents and things about what to do. So what to do if you're having a problem with your child at school, basically. How do I deal with that? So I wanted to talk today about it because it's pretty important. And I think for me and for any educators that watch this and also have children, it's such a fine line almost, because it changes. So normally we'll go in and we'll be an educator and a teacher and all the rest of it before we have children. That's normally what happens, because you go through uni, you come out, spit out at 21, you go in teach at schools, and then you may not have kids until mid-20s, late 20s, 30s, whatever. So oftentimes educators are educating first, parenting second. And now being able to look back at, and not just look back, but experiencing right now, both sides of the coin, it's such a fine balance, I would say. So if I can help you to better balance when that happens, then I think I've done my good deed for the day. So, you know, the main thing I want to focus on is, I guess, as an educator, you're always looking to get the best out of those kids in your class. So it's not like a teacher's going to be sitting there going, I'm picking on that child. They're just not. You know, and sometimes that child may or may not be creating some difficulty for them in their classroom teaching, but honestly, that's their problem to deal with. And when that problem escalates to a point that they need to get parents involved, you know, that means that they should have tried multiple different ways to get that behaviour or whatever it is to settle down in the classroom themselves. Now, from the parenting perspective, of course, then we've got the other side, because now we're hyper emotional. That's our baby. It's our little tiny little, you know, it came out of us and we love it and it's been with us for years and years and it can't do anything wrong, or sometimes it can, but maybe the teacher's at fault, like the teacher hasn't done da-da-da-da-da. So the parenting side is, you know your kids better than anybody else. You know the things that trigger them. You know when they're too tired. You know when they're hungry. You know the things that set them off, or you know the way that they'll respond to things. So you are going to know that child better than anybody else in the world. And you also want the best for them, right? No, I don't know any parent that's going to go, don't really care. You still want the best for your child, no matter what. The teacher also wants the best for the child, okay? But they don't know all the intricacies, and they're also dealing with 29 other kids usually. So they've tried what they can, and now they're probably calling you to get together and go, okay, here are the things that I'm having happen in class, and I need some help. All right, so if you get called in by a teacher to have a conversation about your child, it's not a negative thing. It's I really want the best for your child and I need some help in order for me to be able to help them achieve that in the classroom. All right, and so as a parent, we need to make sure that we breathe through the emotions of the teacher being wrong and this shouldn't happen and why am I being called up and all those sorts of things, and my child's an angel, and be able to go, okay, well, I know my child better than anybody else. I'm going to be able to help you to get the best out of them in the classroom, because that's what I want too. Okay, you're on the same page. So when you go into the classroom or wherever you're meeting the teacher, you want to make sure of a few things first. You need to have the full story before you go in. The last thing you want is to be like, oh, okay, I didn't know that was happening. Same with the teacher. The teacher will have gone, or should have gone through and gotten the whole story from that child and any other child that was involved, and quite possibly will have some kind of record of the different situations and strategies that they've used already to help with the situation. And so you want to also make sure that you understand the full story. So not things like when you're talking to your child, it can't be, what did you do? You don't want to be negative on them, but you also need to understand. So I would normally go, you know, we get called up to school for things. Okay, what happened today? Such and such has called me and they said something happened at school. Tell me about it. So I leave it very open. And when they're telling me, I'm not interrupting. All right, it's really important. I'm not saying, oh, you shouldn't have done that. That's really bad. Da, 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 da. You know, I've taught you better than this. Nothing. I want to hear the whole story. Okay, so tell me what happened. They'll always say it's someone else, you know, someone else did this and da, 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 da first. Okay, so tell me what happened before that. All right, you want the before story because that's normally where the child's done something they shouldn't have. You know, and how did it get to that point? When that thing's happened, there's other things that have happened before. Okay, so what happened before that? And then the next thing I always want to know is, all right, so, you know, what happened after that? Did a teacher speak to you? Did you get caught? You know, what was the result? Because it happened at school, the school should have dealt with it. So I've got the story where it's someone else's fault. I've now got what happened before that where I can see what my child has done to instigate or be involved in that issue. And then I get the back end of, well, how was that dealt with? All right, so I need the whole story. And then when I have the meeting with the teacher, I'm not going to be surprised by anything. I'm going to be aware of what happened. Now, I may sit down with my child at that point and say, okay, well, you know, what sorts of, I would normally say, what sorts of things did you do well in that situation? What sorts of things can you improve in that? What are we going to do so it doesn't happen again? All right, so it's always open questions. They're always open. And it's for the child to be able to critically think about their role in that, their responsibility in that, and what they have and can do to improve on that as they move through. So it's very open there. And I will say to them, you know, the teacher's called, I have to have a meeting with them. So I want the whole story. You know, if you tell me the truth, you're not going to get in as much trouble as if you lie. You know, I'm going to find out either way. So I always get the whole story, have a meeting with the teacher. When I'm approaching the teacher, I need to make sure at all times that when you're talking to the teacher, they still want the best for your child, so do you. So it's really important that you don't go in with your back up and but still be firm, you know. So you can go in and be saying, look, such and such told me about what happened. Ask, they'll normally tell you their side of the story anyway. Then you reiterate, yes, they've told me those things. No, they didn't tell me those bits, whatever. Add some things in if the teacher didn't know those sorts of things. And then at the end of all of that, that's lovely, that's a nice story, but what are we going to do about it? So the solution needs to always be with the teacher, I'm here because I want the best for my child and I know that you do too. So what things I would normally ask, what things have you implemented already to try to improve this behaviour or to try to stop this from happening? So I'm putting the onus back on them because at the end of the day, during class time, it's their responsibility to take care of this sort of stuff. But it also helps me to know what they've done already. And it reminds them, if they are, which hopefully they're not, but if they are one of those teachers that just hopes that you're going to come in with the answers and they've done nothing themselves, it puts that onus back on them as well of being able to have to actually say, well, these are the things that I've implemented so far and these are what have and haven't worked. Okay, so not just come running to me for an answer. You have to have tried something. That's your job. So I'd always ask for what they've done first. And then the next thing I would do is say, okay, these are the strategies that work for me at home, right? So, you know, I'm going to have the same sorts of problems. It's highly likely, but I probably deal with them differently because I've done this before. So these are the things I do already at home. These are the things that work. Can we implement that in the classroom and see how it goes? Teachers like that because then it looks like you're helping them. And you are helping them to a point, but you're also saying, this is what I want to happen because I know it works. And my little child, my friend, my ally, I'm helping you to get the best. And the teacher thinks you're helping or you are helping. And it's a communication between parents and teachers. So it's really, really important. I see a lot of parents come in with their backup. It's not going to achieve the result you want. At the end of the day, you both want the best for your kids. And if you can work together to achieve that, you're going to get a better result than if you're against the teacher. And sometimes I don't necessarily agree with some things that happen in classrooms or teachers, but it's also important for me to keep that separate. I talk to my husband about things that are concerning me about those sorts of things. But when I'm approaching my child, you know, you're in that classroom, you need to do what your teacher says. Okay? There's no question about it. This is what the teacher's told me. This is what we're going to be doing from now on. I'm going to be checking at home that you're doing those things. It's really important that you do. So I'm with the teacher, because if I'm saying to the teacher, hey, your teacher's an idiot, don't worry about it, blah, 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 it's not going to fix it in the classroom, and that's not going to help your child. All right, so just be mindful of those things as well. If you're questioning how the teacher's doing something, you speak to adults, your husband, the next person up in the school, the supervisor, the head of the section, whatever it is, depending on their age. It's not something that you bring home to the child. When you bring it home to the child, it's to do what your teacher says. Here's what's happened. Here's what we're going to do. Solutions. We're all solutions. All right. So to recap, there's an issue. You have to go to the school for a meeting. The things you need to do is A, talk to your child, find out what happened before that, and what happened after that. So here's the issue, which is always going to be someone else's fault. What happened for it to get to that point? How were you involved? What happened after that? What did the school do? So you get the whole viewpoint. We're not making any judgments. We're not making any comments. We're just asking open questions to get the entire story. We're then going back to the school. We're having the meeting with the teacher, saying this is the story I was told. They'll tell you the story you were told. And then you're saying to the teacher, okay, well, what's the solution? What strategies have you implemented so far, and how have they gone? Okay, so they'll run through what things they have done so far, and if they haven't, they'll go, oh, darn it, I need to actually do that. So, you know, most of the time they really should have done a few things that they'll be able to tell you. And then the next thing is, these are the things that work for me at home. You know, this is what I'm doing at home and it's working. Can we implement that in the classroom as well? And when they say yes, you know, make the plan, and then I'll follow up with you in a week to see how it's going. Or can you email me in a couple of days and see how it's going? Follow up. It's really important because it helps your kid know, yes, mum cares or dad cares and he's checking on me. It also helps them know parents and teachers are working together, right? We're working together. Whether we agree with each other or not, we're working together to get the best for that kid. And what was the other thing? Follow up. Make sure there's a strategy. If you don't know, because I just thought of that, sometimes little Johnny, like he's doing this thing at home and he's doing it at school and you're tearing your hair out and have no clue what to do. Okay, that happens too. So if you don't know, if you can't say this is what happens, this is what I do at home that works, you can go the opposite way. You know what, he's doing that at home as well and I have absolutely no idea what to do. You know, how do we work this out? The teacher will have suggestions for you. You know, and if they don't have suggestions for you, they'll be able to ask their supervisor and get a suggestion for you and get back to you. All right, so there's always going to be a solution and that's what we need to focus on. And then the last part in all of that is if you agree or disagree with the teacher, you keep that to your partner. And if you need to, you escalate that through the school as you need to. But when you're talking to your child, you're on board with the teacher. Okay, they need to know it's a united front. We want the best for you. This is what we're doing. We're both going to be checking on you. And I've seen it happen. It works. When the parents and the teachers are openly not agreeing in front of the child, it doesn't work. So just keep those things in mind. All right, so if there's an issue at school, just remember the most important thing is both the teacher and yourself want the best for your child. So keep that in mind when you're going into the meeting. All right, so that's it for me, Lisa at growkidsminds.com. If you need anything, you can email us, you can Facebook, you can join our group. We're available to answer questions. And if there's enough of them and they're the same, they end up on a video like this. All right, guys, so have a great week and hopefully it warms up again. I will see you next week.